Alright, hope everyone's doing wonderful today. Today what I got in store is going to be my part 4 of my personal Magic the Gathering collection. Today I'm either going to be going through either one or two of these binders, just depending on how long it takes. And these are probably my favorite binders. They're the Ultra Pro Deck Builders Pro Binder. They're like the 4-column binders. Absolutely love them. Great for storing play sets, and they're just really my favorite. They don't sponsor me or anything like that. I'm just telling you, those are probably my favorite binders. And inside of this one right here, this is sort of my Dredge / Graveyard collection. I've always wanted to make some sort of Dredge or Graveyard based deck, and I've just started amassing cards and collecting cards that I feel would work really great with that sort of strategy. And one day I'm going to put together a crazy deck with it and maybe enter in some competitions and just really have some fun with it with some friends and family and stuff like that. Anyways, really like these binders. Let's just go ahead and open it up and go through it. This is the 4th part of this video. I have done 3 other parts. If you're interested in those, please go and check them out in my video library as well. So anyways, like I said, this is like my sort of Dredge, sort of graveyard heavy binder, and I'm just been going through it and checking them out with you all. It starts with just cards with Dredge, and obviously one of the main cards with Dredge is Golgari Grave Troll, 4 and a green creature skeleton troll from Ravnica. Golgari Grave Troll comes into play with a 1/1 counter on it for each creature card in your graveyard. Really great, especially if you fill up your graveyard. And has remove a 1/1 counter from Golgari Grave Troll, regenerate Golgari Grave Troll, and it has Dredge 6. Such a crazy ability. Dredge 6 is an interesting ability. Most of the time, these cards, you don't even play them. You just use their Dredge ability. And let's read another one of these cards to figure out what Dredge means, just in case you don't know it. I should probably make a video on Dredge. Dredge is... This is Dredge 5. If you would draw a card, instead you may put exactly 5 cards from the top of your library into your graveyard. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand, otherwise draw a card. So you can only Dredge if these cards are in your graveyard. Say I have Golgari Grave Troll in my graveyard, and it's my untap upkeep, and I'm about to draw. Instead of drawing, I can say, you know what? Instead of drawing, I'm going to Dredge 6. I'm going to take this card, put it into my hand, and take 6 cards from my library, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and put them into my graveyard, filling up my graveyard with 6 cards in exchange for taking this card from my graveyard to my hand. But that ability to take 6 cards from my library into my graveyard could be super beneficial in some decks where you're going to be actually playing from your graveyard. So instead of seeing it as losing 6 cards from your library, you're actually like putting 6 cards into your graveyard, or pretty much your hand, since you're going to be playing from your graveyard. So I just thought that's a very cool ability. I know it's a super interesting ability that can definitely be taken advantage of, and I just really like it. And I thought I'd start collecting cards for it and just putting a binder together, and one day making a crazy sort of Dredge deck. So really, yep, let's just go on from there. Got a playset of Golgari Grave Troll, got Stinkweed Imp, just the classics, Golgari Thug, one from Ravnica. These are from some sort of like commander deck or something, not really sure what symbol this is from right here, not quite sure. Also got just some more here. Got Shambling Shell, Dredge 3, got Greater Moss Dog, got Dredge 3, got Necroplasm, interesting card right there, got Dredge 2, Golgari Brown Scale, got Grave Shell Scrab, got Dark Blast, cool card, got Dredge 3, target creature gets -1/-1 till end of turn. Got myself Nether Nightmare Void, got myself Moldvine Cloak. And those are the cards with Dredge I have. I also have some, actually this card has Dredge as well, Life of the Loam. They actually reprinted this in one of those like newer sets, one of those like super premium sets. I have Darkmoor Salvage going on right there. And then I just have some land. So at first it goes from like Dredge cards to sort of land cards. I put Life of the Loam in the right between Dredge and land because it pretty much deals with land cards. You pretty much only have this in your deck if you want to take lands from your graveyard back to your hand. My version of the Dredge deck that I kind of want to build one day is going to be a manaless Dredge deck, but I also do have some mana in here just in case I want to include some sort of mana producing ways for other sort of combos and stuff like that. Got like Darkmoor Savage, got Undiscovered Paradise, very interesting card from Visions. It says add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. At the beginning of your next untap phase, return Undiscovered Paradise to its owner's hand. It comes into the battlefield. You can tap it right away for whatever mana you want. But at the next untap phase, you return it to your hand, so it bounces back to your hand. It's a cool card because it can produce mana right away, And it's also great for decks with like landfall. If you have like a bunch of creatures or something that get triggered every time a land enters the battlefield, throw a couple of these in your deck so that they can keep bouncing to your hand to ensure that you'll have landfall every turn. Very cool that it just kind of bounces back to your hand. You can put it down every turn for a surefire landfall. Got Celifid Coliseum, cool for card draw. Got myself... Actually, I have a playset of the Lotus Petals. I have a playset of Lion-Eye Diamonds. I have 2 Chrome Moxes. Lion-Eye Diamonds is a super classic Iconic card from Mirage. Beautiful card. 0 cost artifact for sacrifice Lion's-Eye Diamond. Discard your hand. Add 3 mana of any one color to your mana pool. Play this ability as a mana source. It's sort of like a nerfed Black Lotus, sort of. It produces 3 mana of any color, but you have to discard your hand to get that ability. But in a Dredge deck or a deck that you're going to be playing from your graveyard, this could actually help increase and speed up your turns, because you're actually going to be filling up your graveyard with more cards. And if you fill up your graveyard with cards with Dredge, it could really help you really go off on some sort of combo. So I do have a playset of those. I bought them a long time ago, back in the day where they were not as expensive as now. I got a playset of Simian Spirit Guide, Elvish Spirit Guide. These cards are very similar. They do very similar things. Simian Spirit Guide, it's remove it from your hand. Remove Simian Spirit Guide in your hand from the game, add red to your mana pool. So you take this, remove it from your hand, add red. Same thing with this, you remove this from your hand, you add green. So these can also produce mana as well. So I put these in here for mana producing cards. Lotus Petal, they actually reprinted that. It's like it's a petal of the lotus. It's a 0 cost artifact. It has tap, sacrifice, add 1 mana of any color to mana pool. Very cool. Artifact produces mana without any cost. Awesome cards. I really like that. Got the Chrome Mox as well. Got 2 of them. One day I'll have a play set, but right now I just have 2. It's got Imprint. When Chrome Mox comes into play, remove a target. Remove non-artifact, non-land card from your in your hand from the game, and then the removed card is imprinted on the artifact. So if I remove a green card, it produces whatever mana imprinted card. So it would produce like green mana or something like that. So it's just like a free mana source as well. Very cool right there. I got Tinderwall. Got Wild Cantor. You sacrifice it, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. These are all just like kind of mana producing cards right here. What is this one right here? From Urza's Saga. Cathalodon, 3 mana. When it's put into graveyard from play, add 3 colors mana to your mana pool. So when it dies, or if you sacrifice it to like a Ball Ritual or something like that, you can produce some colorless mana, which is cool. Thought it would be something you could do with that. Got like Morg Toad right here. This one's similar. You sacrifice it, add blue and red to your mana pool, just in case you need to get colored mana. This card right here would be good for producing mana as well. It'd be kind of cool. Composite Golem, beautiful art by Mark Tendon. You sacrifice it, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Interesting set, 5th Dawn. They took out the color from like inside the text box right here, but then they brought it back because it's kind of weird to see mana without the color. But yeah, very interesting card here. You sacrifice it, you can add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Really cool, especially if you like cheat it onto the battlefield. Got an Apprentice right here. Discard a card from your hand, sacrifice it, add 3 black to your mana pool. Priest of Gix, when it comes into play, add 3 black to your mana pool. So just ways to get mana without actual mana cards or lands. So I put those in here. Got Priest of Urbask. Again, when it comes into the battlefield, add 3 red to your mana pool. So that is like my mana producing cards. Then it goes on to like cards that recur from your graveyard. Got the classic Nether Shadow. If it's in your graveyard with at least 3 creature cards above it, you may return it to play, and it has haste. It's a 1/1 creature that you can kind of bring back from your graveyard as long as there's 3 creatures above it. So in these type of formats, you definitely want to make sure your graveyard is in a specific order, because you're going to be using it to bring back cards like Nether Shadow and stuff like that. Got Narcomoebo, classic card from Future Sight, flying. When it's put into your graveyard from your library, you may put it into play. So like with Dredge, for like Dredge 6, it says take 6 cards from the top of your library. If you dredge one of these, it actually goes from your library into your graveyard. You get it put onto the battlefield for free. And it's just a 1/1 flyer. Very cool. And then you got like Icarid, classic Dredge card right here from Torment. Beautiful card. Crazy looking art by RK Post. It's got haste at the end of turn. Sacrifice it. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if Icarid is in your graveyard, you may remove a black card. black creature card in your graveyard other than Ichrid from the game. If you do, return it to play. So you can recur it by removing a black creature card in your graveyard, bring it to play. It's a 3/1 with haste, so it can do 3 damage every turn if you want. Got Prized Amalgam from Shadows over Innistrad. Is that what it is? I think that's what it is. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield that it entered from your graveyard, if you cast it from your graveyard, return Prized Amalgam from your graveyard to the battlefield tap at the beginning of the next tap. Okay, so very cool. So like if a Narcomoebo or Nethershed or Ichrid comes into play, it brings this guy in with them. So very cool. Cool card as well. These rows right here, it's just missing cards. I don't remember what card this is. I think I wanted to have some card with landfall. I can't remember. That comes back to your battlefield. It's like 1 black mana, Bloodghast. That's a card. Got Flare of the Hatebound. This is a great card. Could be a win condition for like a Dredge sort of deck. It's got Undying, but what really counts is when Flare of the Hatebound or another creature enters the battlefield from your graveyard, that creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. So if you're going to be bringing back cards from your graveyard, they come into the battlefield, they instantly do damage to target creature player for the number of its to its power? Yeah, to its power. So if you put like a Golgari Grave Troll on the battlefield and you have like 20 cards in your graveyard, it's instantly going to come back and do 20 damage and like win the game. Got Flamekin Zealot. When Flamekin Zealot comes into play, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain haste until end of turn. So this could also be win condition. You fill up your battlefield and then you put this out and gives all your creatures haste. Very cool. Got Phantasmagorian. Can kind of help you fill up your graveyard with its ability. It says discard 3 cards, return it from your graveyard to your hand. So if this is in your graveyard, you can discard a bunch of cards, 3 cards. You can do it actually more than once. So if you want to, you could do like 6 and then return it from your graveyard to your hand. Just fill up your graveyard. Got Street Wraith from Future Sight. It's got the cycling cost of just 2 life. That's what this is. It's a cycling card. So pretty much pay 2 life, discard this card, draw a card. Really help with your dredge. So since it's anytime you draw a card, you could cycle and dredge, which is interesting. And it's just like free card draw. Got Gristleband, just a beast. 4 of these from Avacyn Resort, I believe. 4 and 4 black mana, but most of the time you're just going to be playing this with like a Dread Return or something like that. Got Flying and Lifelink. Pay 7 life, draw 7 cards. Crazy ability, especially in like a Dredge deck. You can do so much with drawing 7 cards, and 7 life, totally worth it. It's a 7/7 with Flying and Lifelink anyway. And the Lifelink ability, I mean, come on, you do 1 time, you gain the 7 life back, it's like free 7 cards. Beast of a card, got a playset of those. Got Chancellor of the Annex. This is a wonderful card as well. You may reveal this card from your opening hand. If you do, when each opponent casts his or her first spell of the game, counter that spell unless that player pays 1. So this can just help you if you do something on turn 1 and your opponent has like a Force of Will or some sort of counter spell. If you show this, you counter their first spell unless they pay 1. And if it's turn 1, most likely they won't have an extra mana, so you'll pretty much save yourself for the first turn. Very interesting card. That's pretty much why you put it in there. Maybe a sideboard card. Got Golgari Riders. This is actually one of the newest ones in here that I have. Interesting card. Reminds me of Golgari Grave Troll. When it enters the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it for each creature in your graveyard, and it has haste, so very cool, especially with graveyard heavy decks. You got 10 cards of creatures in your graveyard, comes in the battlefield as a 10/10 with haste. I mean, that's pretty sweet. Got Trinket Mage. I thought this was a cool card, especially if I need to like search up like an artifact or something. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost 1 or less. I thought I could tutor up for like a Lion's Eye Diamond, a Chrome Mox, or like a Lotus Petal or something like that. So very cool if I needed to find something to like fit together a piece. I feel like Trinket Mage would help make it work. Archomancer, return instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. Really great. This is some like commander card right here. I just thought it would be interesting. Got a playset of these. They're not super expensive. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile an artifact or creature card from your hand or your graveyard. Put a cage counter on it. It has all activated abilities of all cards you own in exile with cage counters on them. You may activate each of those abilities once each turn. So it can be like, it can take on the abilities of another card or like an artifact, something like that. Whatever you want. You can exile a card in your graveyard, like if you had a Lion's Eye Diamond or something like that. It can take on that ability if you'd want or something like that. So it's kind of cool. Extra value for that. Got Sun Titan. Enters the battlefield or attacks. You may return targeted permanent card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to your battlefield. Really great for just like getting creatures or something else. You can return an enchantment, an artifact, anything you want, any permanent from your graveyard to the battlefield with 3 or less. Very cool card, very cool. So I got a playset of those. Got Protein Hulk. When it dies, search your library for any number of creature cards with total converted mana cost 6 or less and put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Very cool. You can like Dread return this on the battlefield, sacrifice it for another Dread return. Then you could also bring something back from Dread return and also bring some stuff back with this. So good, just a whole bunch of combos going on right there. Angel of Glory's Rise, really great for any deck with a bunch of humans. Angel of Glory's Rise enters the battlefield, exile all zombies, and return all human creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. If your deck is completely full of humans and you play this and you have a bunch of humans in your graveyard, you could definitely do some crazy damage right there. You got Angel of Despair. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target permanent. Ashen Rider. When it enters the battlefield or dies, exile a target permanent. So some just removal from straight up creatures. Like if I wanted to do like a manaless Dredge deck or something without mana, and I didn't have mana to play spells, instant or sorceries, and I only had cards to bring creatures back from my graveyard, I could bring back these in a pinch to exile something or destroy something, so that's why I have those. Trestodon as well. It comes into the battlefield. Destroy up to 3 target non-creature permanents. For each permanent put into graveyard this way, its controller puts a 3/3 green elemental creature token on the battlefield. They make 3 elephants, 3/3 elephants for each of those destroyed, but you can destroy a whole lot. Got Ingot Chewer. It's a creature, but when it enters the battlefield, you destroy target artifact. Got Whisper Mare. It comes into the battlefield, destroy target enchantment. So just creatures that can do the same as some sort of instants or sorceries. Got Fairy Maccabee. Interesting card right here. This is pretty much only for getting rid of some graveyard hate. You discard this, exile up to 2 cards in the graveyard. So pretty cool. You don't even have to pay for this. You have it in your hand. You say, you know what? I'm going to exile it and get rid of 2 creature cards or 2 cards in someone's graveyard. Very cool. Sphinx of Lot 2, Truth, great for card draw. Balustrade Spy. Super important key if you want to do like Manaless Dredge or something like that. This can really just take your whole library, flip it into your graveyard. If you get this guy into the battlefield, it does. When Balustrade Spy enters the battlefield, target player reveals cards from the top of his or her library until he or she reveals a land card. Then put those cards into his or her graveyard. And if you're playing Manaless Dredge, that means you have no land cards in your library. So pretty much you take your whole library, you flip it over into your graveyard, and then pretty much your whole hand, your whole everything you can play is in your graveyard, and you pretty much won the game if you can get this on the field. Got Leveler. I thought there'd be something very interesting to do with Leveler and Laboratory Maniac. Interesting card right here, Leveler. 5 mana for a 10/10 from Morden. When it comes into play, remove your library from the game. So just remove your whole library from the game. Why would that be good? I thought it'd be cool with a card like this, Laboratory Maniac. You would, if you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game. Normally, you lose the game if you draw and you have no cards in it. But if you had the card like Leveler, it completely removes your library from the game, and you also had a card like Laboratory Maniac on the battlefield. Then somehow you did like a Street Wraith to cycle and draw a card. You'd win the game because this exiled your library, so you have none left, and then you draw a card when there's none in it, you win the game. So I thought that'd be kind of an interesting combination you could do with that. Got the Leveler right there, Laboratory Maniac, got a playset of those. Got the Sage, some card draw, Mirrormed, Phantom again for filling up your graveyard. Got Putrid Imp, just a discard outlet. It says discard a card from your hand, Putrid Imp gains flying till end of turn. So you put this on the battlefield. If you need to just discard some cards, go ahead, you can just discard them as many as you want with that. Tireless Tribe again, discard a card from your hand, gets +0/+4 until end of turn. Just some discard outlets. This is actually a newer one. I probably got this one maybe like a couple months ago. I didn't even know it existed. It is from Torment. It is Basking Root Awe. It's 1 green for a 1/1 creature lizard, but really the ability that I thought was cool, I never knew this. It has a madness cost for 0. You may play this card for its madness cost at any time you discard it from your hand. So if you're going to be discarding this from your hand, you play for free. So if you play like a Lion's Eye Diamond, you have this in your hand, you discard your whole hand, you say, you know what, I'm going to play it for its madness cost, and it's like a free creature. I didn't know this card existed. Very cool. So I like free creatures as well. Next, I'm going to be going into a bunch of free creatures. So this one is in there. I got Shield Sphere. Crazy good card right here. 0 mana for a 0/6. Counts as a wall. If Shield Sphere is assigned to block, as a blocker, put a -0, -1 counter on it. So every time it blocks, it gets a little bit weaker. But it's a 0/6 wall for free. That's crazy. That's a crazy card. I didn't know this one existed until maybe like half a year ago as well. Got some kobolds. Kobolds of the Keep. There's a couple of kobolds that I still got to get. Playset of this. 0/1 creature, just a free creature. I think free creatures are cool as well. I think there's something you can do with that. Got one Ornithopter right here, just a free flyer for 0/2. Got Pyrexian Walker. It's just another free creature. It's a 0/3 creature, not a wall, just a 0/3 for 0 from Visions. Got Mennonite. It's a 1/1 creature. It's just a 1/1 creature for 0. I just think 0 cost creatures and artifacts and everything, there's just something cool about it. It's just free. I also got Bridge from Below. This is a huge key if you want to do like a Dredge deck or something like that. Make a whole bunch of zombies. 3 black mana, but really this is such an interesting card because it only works when it's in your graveyard. Okay, whenever a non-creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, if Bridge from Below is in your graveyard, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. Okay, so if this is in your graveyard, this card, if you dredge it into your graveyard or you somehow get it into your graveyard, and then a non-token creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, so if you have like an Icarid and you sacrifice it, or you sacrifice things to a Dread Return, you're going to be making a whole bunch of zombies. And if you had like 4 copies of these in your graveyard, for every 1 creature, you'll be making 4 zombies. That's very cool. Well, for every 1 non-token creature going into your graveyard, each of these stacks up, so you'd be making 1 zombie, 1 zombie, 1 zombie, 1 zombie. So you can make a whole bunch of zombie tokens, and you can use those zombie tokens for another Dread Return. It's just like a crazy cycle you can keep going. But this says, whenever a creature is put into an opponent's graveyard from the battlefield, if Bridge from Below is in your graveyard, exile Bridge from Below. So if one of your creatures, opponent's creatures dies, you got to exile it. So just keep that in mind. You really want to try to use it before you lose it. Also got Cabal Therapy, beautiful card from Judgment. Ron Spencer drew it, super iconic, crazy looking art. Love his art. Name a non-land card. Target player reveals his or her hand and discards from it all cards with that name. But its flashback cost is sacrifice a creature. And that's right there. It's like a sacrifice outlet. You have this in your graveyard. That's cool. You have this in your graveyard. You need to sacrifice a creature to make more zombies. So you can use those zombies for like a Dread Return. You sacrifice your creature, your Icarid or whatever you want to Cabal Therapy. It's like a free sacrifice outlet. Very cool. Super important key. Also got Dread Return right here. Super important key as well. Return target creature from your graveyard to your play. And how is its flashback? Its flashback is sacrifice 3 creatures. So how cool is that? Say you have an Icarid on the battlefield and you need to get a Gristleband onto the battlefield. And you say you have 3 Bridge from Belows in your graveyard. You have an Icarid on the battlefield. You sacrifice the Icarid to a Cabal Therapy because you have Cabal Therapy in your graveyard. Since the Icarid dies and you have 3 Bridge for Lows in your graveyard, you make 3 zombie tokens. Then you can take those 3 zombie tokens, sacrifice them for the Dread Returns flashback cost, and bring back like a Gristlebrand or something like that. So it's just very interesting, like down the food chain. You can go from like Cabal Therapy to Dread Return. Just really crazy combos you can do. Got Ataxian Prom, a free card right here. Look at target player's hand, draw a card. Really cool. You can like do this for Cabal Therapy and get rid of something important if you want. And it's Pyrexian mana. It can either be played with blue or 2 life. So probably the 2 life free card draw. And then I also got some more stuff right here. Got Mindbreak Trap. Interesting card from Worldwake, I believe. If an opponent casts 3 or more spells this turn, you may pay 0 rather than play its Mindbreak Trap's mana cost. Exile any number of target spells. So if your opponent's going off on some crazy combo and they play more than 3 spells and you have this in your hand, you can say, you know what? I'm going to play this for free, and you exile all of them. So even if you're tapped out of mana and they're going off some crazy storm combo or something, you play this, exile all the spells. How cool is that? Such a crazy card. It's not counter the spells, it's just exile any number of target spells. That's just crazy. Got Breakthrough. Very, very good card. It's X and a blue. Draw 4 cards and choose X cards in your hand and discard the rest from it. So you draw 4 cards, and if you don't pay anything for X, you just discard all 4, which can be super beneficial for Dredge. Got Careful Study, draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards from your hand for 1 blue. 1 blue for draw 2. I mean, come on, that's crazy. But you got to discard 2. Also got Contagion, just some free spells and stuff like this. You may pay 1 and remove a black card in your hand from the game rather than pay Contagion's mana cost. So you can pay a life and remove a black card instead of paying it. Put 2, -1 counters distributed as you choose on 1 or 2 target creatures. So if you want to, maybe removal spell or something like that, you could use it. Just a free card. Also got Sickening Shoal. Great card here from Kamigawa. You remove a black card with converted mana cost X in your hand from the game rather than pay its mana cost. Target creature gets -X till end of turn. Remove a card with converted mana cost 4 that's black from your hand from the game. You can play this and give a creature -4/-4, so kind of cool. I wanted to include Mortal Kombat in here. Interesting card from Torment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 20 or more creature cards, if 20 or more creature cards are in your graveyard, you win the game. So if you fill up your graveyard with a whole bunch of creatures, you got 20 or more at the beginning of your upkeep, you win the game. Interesting card. That'd be cool to include this in here. I got Leyline of Sanctity. If it's in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. You have hexproof. Very cool. I've done a video on hexproof. This gives you hexproof. I should have used this in that video. But yeah, you have hexproof. You can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponent controls. I would like to get all the other ley lines one day. And this is the spaces for all of them. There's so many ley lines out there. There's so many I have to get. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think there's 10 other ley lines that I would like to get one day. One day. Also have Catalyst Stone, since you're going to be playing lots of cards from your graveyard. I thought it'd be good to include cards with flashback, so I have like Catalyst Stone right here. Very cool card from Odyssey, one of my favorite sets. Flashback costs, you pay cost up to 2 less. How cool is that? Flashbacks cost your opponent pay, cost 2 more. So if you have cards with flashback in your graveyard and you play it, flashback costs 2 less. So careful, or Faithless Looting, flashback would only be 1 red. Very cool. Just really nice to reduce the cost of flashback cards. Got Faithless Looting, super classic card. It's got draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards, and it has a flashback cost for 2 and a red. But that's cool. 1 red for drawing 2 cards and discard 2 cards. There's also Desperate Ravings. Very similar card. Draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards at random. It's just at random. And this flashback card is 2 and a blue. Very interesting. So if I wanted to, I could use the flashback for either this or this with like a Lion's Eye Diamond. I think there's something to do with that. Really cool. So I have both of them. I also have just a bunch of other flashback cards. I got Purify the Grave, exile target card from a graveyard with flashback. Ooh. Got Configurate, got Skull Fracture, Shattered Perception, Increasing Confusion, Memories Journal. Target player shuffles up to 3 target cards from his or her graveyard into his or her library and flashback for 1 green. So I just included a bunch of flashback cards. I don't have all the flashback cards, but one day it'd be cool too. Rally the Peasants. I just think flashback is an amazing ability. It's like you get value for your cards. You can play it, then you can play it again from your graveyard. It's like it didn't really leave your hand. Got Dream Twist, Deep Analysis, Corrosion, Reclamation, Knot of the Bone, Ray of Revelation. I do miss how flashback cards, they don't really do it for the newer stuff, had the little gravestone symbol up there. You ever notice that? The gravestone symbol just means you can play it from your graveyard, if I can get it to focus. The little gravestone symbol. So cool. Flashback. Destroy target enchantment, and you can flash it back for green. I mean, so cool. Got Mystic Retrieval. And then this is the last page I got. I got Coffin Purge, got Lingering Souls, cool card, Ancient Grudge, Enrolling Temboil. And that is my kind of graveyard heavy sort of binder right here. Super cool. Just wanted to go through it with you all. Yeah, I just really like graveyard heavy decks. I think it's a lot of fun, especially to play from your graveyard and find cool combos and abilities that really just kind of help you go off and play some cool stuff from your graveyard. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoy these kind of videos. I know this is a bit longer. Probably just going to be just doing this binder just for this one, just because it took a little while. I had a lot to say about it. But anyways, just so much fun to check out this stuff with you all. Let me know what you think. And then join me on next time when I check out another binder. I think it's going to be my last binder. And then I also have like a Kakapopo briefcase, TCG like metal briefcase I did a review on, and I also have a bunch of cards in there. And then I'll probably just like thumb through some of my decks and stuff, and maybe some other cards I have, and probably be with that. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Just want to say thanks for stopping by. Stay positive, spread love, and have a beautiful, wonderful day. And I'll catch you all on the next one.